Welcome to the Three Hokages podcast. We're your hosts, Kay, Kareem, and Hanif. We're going to try our best to do a spoiler-free review of Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan's movie Sinners. All three of us have seen it. It's the first time we've all seen the movie or a TV show
In a while.
in a while. So that's how special this film was. I think Kareem probably saw it before us. So Kareem, we'll start with you. We'll just give us, I guess, a glancing review of what you thought of it, and we'll go down the line with Kay as well, and then I'll chime in as well. We'll try our best again to not spoil certain things in the film about the film.
So I was shocked when it ended with a multiverse. But I know we wanted to record initially after watching the movie, but I had to really digest it. I don't think I would have been able to say much about the movie yesterday, other than I sincerely, wholeheartedly loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved the acting, the story. The music was phenomenal. I immediately looked up where can I get the soundtrack after the movie ended, and it was something that really touched home. But the more I thought about it, not that I enjoyed it less, but somewhat of a sadness creeped in. And I can't really explain why without giving any spoilers, but the realization of how deep and how heavy this movie really is below the surface of being what they show in the trailer, which is a horror vampire movie. And I think you can attribute that to, again, the acting, the writing, the directing, where every single character carries some kind of weight. Whether it was Michael B. Jordan's character, the twins, which, I always enjoy his movies from, Creed to, everything that he's been in, Killmonger. But it may be recency bias, but I think this is some of his best acting to portray two twins who are very similar but very different, where you start believing they're two different characters, I think was a phenomenal acting job. And I don't want to go through every character because I know you have a lot to say about this too. But even first time acting, it's like everything. The setup from the beginning, where you enjoy the characters' lives, you get a little bit of backstory, you see what they built, and you appreciate all of that prior to everything happening. And I think the build-up, the world building in this was something that was phenomenal, where even though I enjoyed the action, I enjoyed the horror. There were some legitimate scares. There was some legitimate laughs. What sticks out to me the most at the end of the day still are the characters. And what they meant to each other, the lives they built, everything they put into building those lives. And then the true horror of it all really isn't the vampires. And that's the part that sinks in a little bit later. I was concerned that the hype was going to let me down. Not that I thought it was going to be a bad movie, but I thought I'm too excited for this movie. There's no way in the world I'm actually going to enjoy it as much as people have been saying. And I can honestly say that I really did. Even with all the hype leading into the film, I enjoyed it. It's easily one of my best films of the year. Easily one of my best films of the year. I had to see it a few more times to where I rank it on my all-time list, because if I enjoy it to watch it multiple times, then I can start ranking that. But easily one of the best films of the year for me. But what are your thoughts on it?
So I've seen it the most recent. Like literally, I finished it less than 3 hours ago. So it's the most fresh in my mind. But I will say this: I try to stay away from multiple, like all of the whole. I try to stay away from like people online talking about how good of a movie this was, how good of a movie this. Like, so I was like, Instagram has been hard. Let's just say that, because like everybody that I follow that I know on Instagram has seen this movie, and I'm like, oh yeah, don't watch it. Don't watch
Scroll.
Like, okay, well, like so much like my phone, like I just try not to stay on. I just like screw it. I'm not doing any of it. I'm just gonna go back to playing video games. But I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Although I will say this. I was telling Hanif earlier before we started recording. I'm like, I'm glad that I saw this by myself. I don't think I would have had. I don't think I could have been able to get as into it and as interested in it as if I would have seen it with someone else, like with Gary. I think that would have been, it would have been very. Nah, I needed to see this by myself. If I see it the second time, yes, I'll watch it with. But like this one, it just like there were so many parts of it that like spoke to me, like to the point where when there's a scene playing and then you're hearing other stuff that's like the overlay because it's supposed to be like the background noise, or like you're hearing the message, like when the, Wunmi's character is talking, like when you're seeing the scene, but then you hear Wunmi's voice and she's explaining stuff to you, and I'm like, oh, if I would have seen this with somebody else, I don't know if I would have been paying that much attention, like, or as more as I'm like trying to explain, this part of Black culture, this part of Black culture, this part of, and I'm just like, I got to sit in it as a Black person by myself, and it was really nice to just sit and watch and look, and I'm just like, I know that, I see this, that's familiar. Even when she gets the when she takes his, when he gives her his the bag, the mojo bag around his neck, and what she says during it, I'm like, it's been a long time since I've heard that. And it's so, you literally feel like you're there, and you feel like you're watching familiar stuff, if that makes sense. Like it just felt so comfortable and familiar, like from the cultural standpoint of it. But man, as I was talking to Neve before, I was like, yo, like the clothes and whoever was doing the vocal coaching, that person deserves a raise, because like I know Wunmi is not American. I know, like, and even with the way Michael B. Jordan spoke as the twins, he like, it doesn't sound like him, and it's a good thing. That sounds rude.
It sounds like it sounds like a separate person. He's
Right.
performing, but we don't see it as Michael B. Jordan. You see it as someone
Right.
else, as Smoke or Stack. That's
Right.
how.
As Smoke and Stack, and I love the coloring too. Like Smoke wore blue, Stack wore red, and like you always were framed in those colors. And I was like, somebody put way too much thought into this movie. Like, not way too much thought. It's not way too much. It's a great amount of thought, but I'm just like, there's so much thought and precision put into this movie without even getting into like the vampire stuff, the religious stuff. We don't necessarily feel wrong about what the vampire is saying to an extent. Like when he gives a choice, you're just like, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but sir, you missing something for me here. But I loved it. I would love to watch it again, and I'm glad that I stayed, even though people in the theater did not stay for both of those credits, because then I got to see like things I always do, which is like Lars Ulrich was one of the guitarist people. That was weird.
Yes, I guess it doesn't. And then you'd never guess that someone from Metallica would have been either inspiration or actually a part of the musical production of this film. But it just goes to show you how eclectic this film is, from behind the scenes to in front of the camera. I'm not going to be a voice of opposition here. I also like this movie as well. I think this is one of the first movies that definitely this year that I went to opening weekend, and it's packed. Now I've seen Captain America opening weekend with my son, and there was still some spaces inside the IMAX theater. This one, packed house inside and out. I enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing it again, whether I see it in the theaters or wait till it goes on streaming. I'm not sure yet. It depends upon my availability, but I enjoyed all the subliminals, whether it's through the clothing, the mannerisms, or just the dialogue itself. There's a lot of things that we can pick up and digest. Like Kim was saying, even when Mumi's talking and having conversations, a lot of that felt familiar because these are either conversations that we've experienced or heard outside of the movie. This is in our own background, our own lives, we've had these kind of conversations with one another, and it doesn't have to be revolved around something ancestral like Jim Crow South. It could be a kind of because I think that's also a beautiful thing with this film is that while it's a vampire horror movie, a lot of it's still rooted in reality as far as a recent reality. This is 1932,
32.
32 Mississippi. So this is after World War One, but before World War Two. But a lot of the stuff that's happened, it's still present today. You have the chain gang crew that we see inside the film. That's still prevalent today. Whether or not they have prisoners out on the side of the road, digging ditches. The 13th Amendment have privatized prisons so that way inmates will be doing customer service, or like they had in the wildfires in California, you had prisons out there fighting wildfires for pennies on the dollar. So things that happened then still happen today, whether if it may not be as pronounced, but it still occurs. And I think that adds another heft of weight to the gravity of a lot of the situations in this film. So we've given our initial thoughts on it. I think for me, there's one gripe about it that I think would be a spoiler, so I'm not going to even bring it up. So I think it's a great movie. 4 out of 4. From everything down the line. I mean, if let's go into a little bit more detail if we want to. For those who are not familiar with Sinners, the movie takes place again in Jim Crow South. Revolves around two twin brothers, Smoke and Stack, both played by Michael B. Jordan. They're recently relocated from Chicago back down to their familiar home grounds of Mississippi, where they want to open up their own juke joint. Think of it as a club, if you will. Just after hours spot where music, gambling, alcohol, and dancing will be going on. So they having their opening ceremony or their grand opening, and some vampires would like to come and partake in their festivities. And so a lot of things happen from there. That's the super non-spoilerific description of of this film. In terms of cinematography, in terms of the direction of how this film goes, I felt like watching. To me, it felt like there was certain scenes that reminded me of Spike Lee's Malcolm X, and that was in the sound production, where in the opening scenes when Preacher Boy's character is walking into the church, and it does quick cuts to show us what's about to happen because the movie is showing flashbacks. There's loud bangs, there's loud screams, there's loud this and that. And I think and to me, not just me, but the people next to me also jumped because we weren't anticipating within the first 10 minutes, boom, boom, this and this happening. And I felt like to me when Malcolm X, when Spike Lee would intersperse the movie with the gunshots of when Alhaji Malik Shabazz gets assassinated, I guess to get people ready that you're going to hear some loud shooting coming up in the next hour or 2 hours from now. That already had me on the edge of the seat, like, okay, what else is about to happen? Because if they're already making these kind of things happen in the first 10, 15 minutes, we got another hour, 2 hours worth of action to possibly take place. So what was your, I guess, jump scare moment without giving too much of a plot away? Like what got you like, okay, it's getting real right now?
Jump scare moments. There were a few of them. I would say one jump scare moment that really probably should have been a jump scare moment is when they were driving down the road, and like you said, they come across the chain gang, and Delroy Lindo's character, he starts trying to motivate them to keep their head up, and then there's a jump scare that has nothing to do with vampires, and it's something that should have been completely expected. But it's the way the movie was, where the realism of that hit home, where it's like, wow, this is what they're going through, what they're dealing with. It's like anything can happen at any moment without any vampires being present. And then that was, to me, a jump scare. Because I even think the story he told after related to his friends, how one of them lost everything, was foreshadowing for the movie. Like that was pretty much summarizing the entire movie. So I think that jump scare with the chain gang was one of the biggest jump scares to me in the movie.
Yeah, that was like one of those that's more grounded in reality.
Yeah,
a
you
little
out here,
too.
and to me, like a person of color, like you had to be on your super, P's and Q's at that time. So you're gonna stand up and you shouting at the chain gang while the overseer officer is right there with a shotgun, and it was one of those things like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Come on, man, come on, play it cool. But
Because honestly, like when he tells him to slow down, I thought that's why he was telling him to slow down. Because like, yo, we're about to pass them. You need to slow down because yo, these cops are gonna just like stop you. Like you're not doing anything, but like that. So like where it ended, like where I thought it was going was I was like, oh, slow down so that you can't be speeding through here because we see them. And then him speaking to those guys and having them keep their head up and then telling the story. And I'm like, it was kind of a relief that like that's why he was telling him to slow down versus the other thing. But then the jump scare, like you're saying, like they're gonna be themselves, like great. And like, but then it just was part of like because I don't know, like I don't like it's a movie, but I was like in my head, I was like, even I'm worried about you guys are going too fast, coming up on the chain gang with them cops there, and y'all and like you're doing the ditch, and there's like a whole bunch of like the cotton fields. Like I'm in my and like so many negative thoughts have went through my head. So I was like, oh good, they got passed. And like with him, I was like, you know what, that's great. And then you hear like, and I'm like, oh. Well, yeah, there goes that. But they made it through.
Yeah.
I was just like,
no place was safe out there, man.
right.
It's you got the fantasy violence of vampires, but then you have the realism of the Klan, which was present in the film as well. It was just a dangerous times. It was just that to me adds a level of horror to this. It's like a horror reality kind of thing, right? Especially in today's climate, that this film, it felt like just add some. This could have been a Black Mirror episode kind of thing, honestly.
Yeah,
a Black Mirror episode. There's so much going on. Like there was scenes of even they showed like Kay mentioned the cotton fields. Now you just visualizing it, you just see cotton from horizon to the foreground, and just imagine these people. And this time it's already after Emancipation Proclamation, but as sharecroppers, they have a quota that they have to pick. So this man is out there, before the sun rises, picking cotton, bare feet. Nobody's rocking shoes. There's no Timberlands. There's no Nikes or anything. Just barefoot, just picking cotton. I mean, and things are cotton balls like this big, but you got about 6 foot long bag filled with that stuff. So you know how much you have to pick to make that daily quota. It's count our blessings. We're born in a time free of that kind of manual labor for us anyway.
Yeah, I agree. It's the setting, seeing that him, Miles, well actually Sammy, getting that work done early and wanting to enjoy life. Basically, the way he described it to his father, who was a pastor. Obviously, he is against music and Sammy using the guitar like he was. Obviously, against him, enjoying life or sweating around others who are basically sinners. I want to point to the cinematography in the movie. There's a scene where they're in town, and you have, I don't remember if it was Smoke or Stack, talking to the Asian characters, Bo and
I think that was Smoke. I think it's Smoke.
Yes, Bo and his wife, and she leaves their store. She walks into, the daughter leaves the store. She walks in to get the mother. The mother starts walking out of the store, and it's like one long camera sequence. And to me, it was like, oh, this is beautiful. Just to see that camera sequence, the way they captured the town, the people in the town. Like you said earlier, Kay, it made you feel like you were really there. Like you're really walking with the people at times. You're really interacting with them. And I don't want to give away, one of the best scenes in the town. It was pretty funny too. But it's like they have big moments where you relate to the characters quickly. And not just relate, but you care about the characters quickly. and you're like, wow, I want to enjoy this character more. I want to see what they can do. And I love Ryan Coogler's movies. But one of the things that I love about it is we're watching the film.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to say everything. You can show us. And I love when people remember that this is visual art form. You can literally show us, and we're smart enough to understand what you're showing us. So even the scenes where the characters are related, or where the characters have a touching moment, they don't have to narrate it, and then you can feel it. You can feel the emotion for yourself just by the way that they're acting, the way that they're moving, the camera work. There's just so many things that I keep remembering about the movie the more I talk about it, and it's just the cinematography has to be spoken about. It was incredible in my opinion.
Yeah. There's no, go ahead, Kay. Sorry.
No, I was saying like their use of color, like to always frame smoke with the blue, and like you knew like smoke with the blue, stack with the red, and it was smart. It's just like I said, it goes back to me saying someone put way too much thought into this movie, and not in like, but in a good way, because I'm like, there's just like you literally thought out frame by frame how you want it to look, what the lighting should be, what the coloring should be. When Smoke goes to see Booney's character, did I go what the character's name is? Annie. When he goes to see Annie, and the way that everything where Annie is, it's lit, and the lighting, and the children there, and like it's so I don't know if he poured over images from like from the 30s to get like what those what a conjured person's home could look like what it would look like, or if he just spoke to, or if he went back down. It just so much thought went into it, and you're just like, do you know how much thought you put into this? Like, you need to, like, it's just it was visual food for me, because I'm just like, I'm looking at everything and I'm taking in everything to the point where I'm almost missing some of the words that are being spoken, because I'm so focused on like the scenery, the things in her home. Like even when like even in, like it's just like when you come up and you see like a child there, and then but you see like what looks like fire coming through the wind, like through the again, it's because again, like I said, it's because I've seen it so recently. Like it looks like you can see like the wood is like not so, it's not like fully flushed together, so you can see through the wood and you can see the fire in the house. I'm just like, who thought of this? Who thought of all of this? Like,
and that might just be the reality of how the houses were made back then. Just like you're not gonna get the same, the level of carpentry that you may get now, where you can put a whole hand straight through someone's wood planking of a house. Like say you could see into the house like this. Like,
yeah,
I mean, people had one, maybe two rooms. Not even, I wouldn't say 2 bedrooms, just 2 rooms. Like the opening earlier shots with Preacher Boy Sammy waking up his siblings. They're all living in one big room. Like there's a fireplace, dining table. They have several mattresses on the floor. All of the little ones are laying on the floor. That's their bedroom. That's not so much a southern thing, but that's just how people live, whether they were black or white. Because even the white people that we saw inside their home, still modest to poor living. And at that time, Irish that were in America weren't seen as white, like as what we think of now as white just by skin color. It seemed they were like lesser than I guess the American Caucasians that were here, the property owners and stuff. They came over as indentured servants, most of them at that time. Some who might have fought in the Union Army might have gotten land as a reward for being on the Union side, but for the most part, Irish that came into America were looked down upon. They had to live in the poor sections with the rest of the Italians and the blacks and stuff. How things have changed. But going back to what Karima said as far as the cinematography, a lot of things are spoken silently. Like as a person of color, we can pick up on a lot of things, whether it's mannerisms, clothing, and things like that. Especially like you said, the Chinese couple owning a shop on both sides of the street. You see how the shops are look on both sides. So they're not carbon copies of one another. The black produce store looks a lot more run down than the white produce store. For me, the visuals, as far as cinematography, there's one scene where to me it's still the best scene in the film is inside the juke joint when they're playing music, and it shows you how the music has developed from early days to current time to into the future. How music develops, how stories are told musically or through performance, and that to me was like I wasn't expecting that at all. No, I didn't expect going into a vampire horror film you could get a crash course in music history, culture, and I'm like, this is great. This is awesome. You really can't ask for more than that, man. So I love that for Ryan Coogler. I love that for us to have a movie, an entertainment piece, actually be a historical thing that someone can actually learn something from.
Yeah.
Okay, this is minor spoily, but because of that scene,
just a little
right, just a little bit, but because of that scene, like, and how you saw everyone got to see, like, how you got to see, like, even the Chinese dancers, you saw, like, you got to see everything, like, it makes sense why the vampire looks for him, because if he can see that stuff from the outside, which is also kind of dumb because, well, no, not dumb. Like, I get why he wants Sammy for what Sammy can do, because, like he said, he's here, he's the last of his own, and but the thing is, like, if Sammy could do that, and he could, I don't know if Sammy would have that ability if he became a vampire though, but, like, whatever. But
I would like
also,
to say he should still have the ability. His still, but it's not. He's not bringing them back. He's just. I think.
he's but was he or was he not? Because the people in the room, I don't think they saw those, like, the future, the past.
No.
But and I don't know if this was just, like, for the vampire, like, himself, but, like, it seems like the vampire could see all of it, including the burning down. And so, but it was weird because, like, the vampire, when he took over the two people, when he made his new family, you were still doing the same thing that Sammy was doing, because they all then sung the music of the Irish guy. Like, it's
Right.
not, yes, you're not calling back your ancestors in the sense of where you're seeing them, but, like, they then became your group. Like, and it
Right,
was
but
still
it's still not your original family. That's I think
true.
the vampire, because I mean Ryan Coogler again, shout out to him with regards to even introducing the Native Americans
The
inside the film,
Choctaw, that was
which I
awesome.
was surprised to see them in there, but have Native Americans in there who were hunting vampires. So I'm presuming that they were aware of the vampires in the area and they took out the main vampires clan or something like that, and he's on the run from them.
Yeah, I love that. I love
So
that.
yeah, so I think what you said with Sammy playing music and how the movie starts off telling us that through music, you're able to conjure spirits, conjure memories,
Right,
and
you can curse
and
that
sometimes
veil.
and doing those conjurations through music, through song, you can also bring in it gets recognized by demons, or unfortunately, there's a side effect to everything. So I'd be having a good time, but outsiders, looking in, the demons wanting to partake. I mean, that was just a beautiful scene. The way it was filmed, like Kareem said, with the one shot, in regards to
Everyone.
focusing on Grace as she comes across the street from one Chinese grocery store to another. This one was like one fluid shot around Preacher Boy to show how the different dancers from before, like the grills from before, and then you see the DJ, and then you see a guy on electric guitar, and it's like it just things that I didn't expect to see in the film, but the way they're able to slip in a crash course of musical history, and not just African American and African history too, but just because they also showed Chinese performers as well, and that I was really appreciative of that.
So I think that scene was incredible. For a moment, it was jarring to me. I was like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "Oh, I get it." And it's like it was incredible. This is coming from someone who's not a really big fan of musicals or singing in movies, and I loved it. So it has to be really well. It has to be done really well, and I loved it. Um, and I think the way they tied it to the story, and not to give away anything about the vampires, but I think they did define vampires in its own world and in that
Yeah.
world, which helped, in my mind, understand why the vampire wanted Sammy. Because even though it appeared that they could do the same thing, it was really soulless. It was really an imitation. It was really controlling because it was still a hive mind.
Yeah.
And everyone was still tied to what that guy wanted. And it was also misleading. He knew how to play on people's feelings, their emotions. He could get their history. So I think in terms of what he saw with Sammy had, if he was able to gain access to that power, that's the ability to control even more people. Um, because in some of that was truth. So even, not to give
Yeah.
anything away, but the way he spoke about where they came from, it was a similar story to what was happening. So he was playing on that, where yes, he knew the KKK was around, but yeah, and he wasn't really looking out for them in terms of that, but he knew how to play on it, to make it seem appealing. Like this is better than what you have. This is better than what you can live free of that. Until you remember what Annie was saying, that this cuts you off. It cuts you off from everything, um,
Yeah.
even your loved ones, and then that's where the reality sets back in. Where you're like, wow, this is deep. Um, because even the Native Americans, they ran him out. I mean, but you can still see that he had some of that influence because they showed even some of their music and culture. So he was, you know, and I'm not trying to spoil anything. This is very
Well, it's
early
just
on,
tiny
but it's
spoils.
a tiny spoiler. But even when people knew he was lying, and you got to consider, like, he showed up on the door. He looks beaten. He looks terrible. He looks like somebody you should not trust. Um, and even when they knew he was lying, like, wait, there are no Indians around here. They still went along with it because of that inherent racism.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you saw
Where
they were,
it's
yeah. You saw what they had inside their shed in the
Right.
shack, whatever. So
exactly,
yeah.
and so it's amazing how there's so many aspects of this movie that you can go back and watch it so many times and pick up so many new things. Like, whoa, I didn't see that the last time.
It's I I don't want to say that we're not going to spoil, because like there's so many good things about it that you can talk about that you need to spoil for this, because okay, so in the trailer we already know that what's name becomes a vampire. We know that because we saw it in the trailer.
Lord, you just spoiled the whole movie. There's vampires.
But it was in the way this is what I liked about this. Normally when we see a vampire movie, the turn is slow. The turn is not slow in this. And I kind of liked it because it's like, no, it's, think of it like a virus. Like you don't need to you don't need to like give days. And I thought that was really cool. It's like 1 minute the person is this, and then a little bit later they're completely like, it's, there's still enough of themselves in it, but but like they change, and like you couldn't tell. You're just like, okay. Just like, and the acting. I don't want to like, because we know we've seen the trailer where Haley Steinfeld gets turned. Like we see that, like, that you see in the trailer. She has the eyes and stuff. But the way in which it was just so quick, and like you took your eyes off, and they went back into the juke joint. You're just like,
That was a perfect
oh,
edit when the way they filmed that scene, like from the part of her turning to being back inside the juke joint was, I think, was a nice edit piece, because like you're following that fluid motion of the action. And again, I don't know who was doing the edit job, but they did a real good job editing, because it keeps the pace. Now I saw it in IMAX, so even with the music stomping, you can feel. I felt the vibration when they stomped. They're doing the song and dance and thing, stomping. I felt the vibration in the floor too. And I know people next to me wasn't stomping, but I felt that vibration. So it felt like I was in there, and just a chaotic moment of just at that time was joy because everyone's having a good time celebrating, dancing, and whatnot, having a good time inside. One thing I noticed with this vampire movie, and not every vampire movie is the same, because this one didn't have anything to do with crosses or gonna take them, scare them away or anything like that. But they focused on the invitation. Vampires have to be invited in. Let me on in. No, let me move out the way. Let me inside. I got to see something. Now, let me come in on. Most vampire movies, people want to reference Blade because Ryan Coogler is related to MCU and whatnot, but Blade movies and other vampire movies like Underworld, there wasn't. Can I come inside? Can I? I mean, those kind of little nuances to me adds a lot more to the suspense. Was it so and so a vampire? I don't see them. There's no blood on them. There's no pricks on their neck, so I can't tell the vampire. They might just be mistaken identity. Let me just come on. Let me come back in. Let me just. I just was outside taking a piss. Let me come inside. Okay. Let me. No, don't let them in. Those kind of things, I think, to me anyway, added a lot more suspense to this horror noir.
Yeah.
But it's again, becomes a. This movie can become a dissection of so many different things. Whereas it's a horror noir. It's not just a normal horror movie. It's not just about vampires. Vampires could be symbolisms of all kind of things. Just cultural theft. The white people say no. I just want to come in and partake of your music and your liquor. I just want to take a little bit of your culture. I just want a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's like reality now. A black person can make a dance on TikTok and a white person will get credit for it. So I found a lot of those, and even if there wasn't their honest plan of how we dissecting the film to be, they might have, this is just some good dialogue, but how a vast majority of us, if you go in Threads and Twitter and all these other social medias, people have long discussions, and we're all pretty much of us of the melanated crew is on the same page as far as certain scenes and certain things. But I enjoyed it. I think one thing that was new to me in seeing films was Wumi's character being a woman. She's been a strong woman even in Lovecraft Country and even in the Loki series, but being a romantic lead. She's Michael B. Jordan's Smoke's partner. Wasn't maybe fiance, maybe ex-wife or wife or girlfriend, but they were supposed to have had a child together, probably before he went to war. So to see her being romantic lead to what Hollywood considers one of the sexiest men in Hollywood kind of thing, I thought that was nice and refreshing, especially a dark-skinned woman like herself. We've had Lupita Nyong'o in Black Panther, but a woman of her size, Wumi's size, you don't really get to see that in mainstream media, and I thought that was nice to see a different take on things.
Yeah.
I need to see all the sensualities in certain scenes. But,
I was like, yo. Like the whole.
I gotta see this movie again.
Brothers faster, come on.
And for me, like the conversation that Stack has with Sammy in the car when he first picks him up, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I wasn't expecting this conversation, but then again, I didn't realize. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, this is definitely not a movie for children.
No, it's not.
You're gonna have to explain some stuff. Do not take your child to see this movie, right? No. So for when certain instances happen, I was like, we are okay. This is cool work. Yeah. We're doing this. We're doing this. Okay. We're gonna do this. Okay. And I'm like, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Oh, alrighty then. Like, okay, wasn't expecting that. Thanks, guys. Can I say that everyone turned in a fabulous performance. Yeah. Like Cornbread. That dude, yo, he is I like the actor Omar Benson. It's like Omar Benson Miller, but like I keep forgetting that he's such a good actor. Cause like you see him and then you don't see him for a while. Then you see him again and then you forget. Like
just in case you forgot, I still got it.
Yeah. Right. I was like, sir, you're so, like, he turned in such a performance, and I'm just like, no, there is not a bad performance in this
No.
movie
No,
at all.
no.
Like, okay, maybe the racist dude, maybe him, but like, it's not a
But
bad performance.
he did such a good job of being a racist that I didn't.
Yeah.
I despise him as well. So I guess that's good acting.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That's good acting. That's good acting.
But I'm
It
just like,
is.
But is it really good acting? I mean, well, let's think
Let's
about
hope
this.
it's good
He may
acting.
not
Let's
actually
hope it's
he may
acting.
not actually be racist in real life, but it's like a white person can just say the N word a few times and just say something negative to a black person automatically, like, it's go time. I don't
It
like you
makes
at
you
all.
wonder,
But
like, how quickly did they say yes to the script? Where it's like, I
yeah,
can say what? Yes. Count me in. Like, or do you want there to be hesitation first? Like, I don't know. Should I? Okay,
yeah.
I'll do it. You know, but it was like, that
okay,
was good acting, but how quickly did you say yes?
Right.
how quickly did DiCaprio say yes to the Django script?
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
it was like, how many times? Where do I
At,
sign up?
Right?
at the first mention.
Like, what was that Samuel Jackson? Like, well, shit, Negro, that's what you had to say. Like, I was holding on this.
But like,
But I
yo,
even looked up after the movie, like Haley Steinfeld, like, wait, is she mixed? And sure enough, she is. And I think, and we can't give this away, but we at least know she turns into a vampire. So I think
right.
even the order in which things happen, there's a deep message behind that. And that's all I say for, like, even the order in which the things are
Things.
told. You can even tie that to, historical situations. And even the
Yeah.
words that the characters say to each other, like, I want to keep you safe, or why we didn't do this, why we didn't do that.
Yeah.
And it's
So, I
like,
mean,
she's trying to pass, but even someone trying to pass, they're not safe. And it speaks a lot to that, where it's like, wow, this movie has layers upon layers. And I don't think it's just us reading deeply into it. I think they deliberately wanted this to have so many messages in the movie.
yeah, I believe you're right as well, because like I said, like, there's a scene when he asked, Preacher Boy asks, is she, you sure
What
she's
are
not?
you?
Yeah, like,
Yeah, because I mean, and I think it's just maybe it's a coincidence that they casted her for the role. I don't know if they asked her beforehand or not, but like I said, in reality, her mother, I think from on her mother's side, she's half black, half Filipino. Her grandfather's, I think, maybe full on African American or so, but you wouldn't know it just by looking at it. Had she not had this role and you just saw her in the Hawkeye or whatever, you just okay, just some white girl. And I mean that's not a problem, just a white girl. But in this movie, she actually is playing a person with mixed lineage. And back in those days, even if you would the grandfather was black or half black, you're considered black. Even if you're not, you could be lighter than my palms, but if one of your parents was black,
Right.
they considered you black back in those days.
And it goes to like, and again, this is again like you were saying, the layers on layers. Like the fact that in the conversation, we know why she came home, but like the fact that she said that she wasn't even living in Mississippi anymore, because that conversation where we know where she like that
The
she's
neighborhood
married.
knew the neighborhood knew who she
Right,
was
the
or where
neighborhood
she's from.
knew where she was, but she didn't live there anymore. Because she was married to a white man and she was living in a different state. Like that to me, I'm like, it's the layers. Like it's the thought and the knowledge of this is literally what's happened. Again, take the vampires out of all this. This is still like a great movie about this happened. Like it's just like
Because
it's
black
history, but
people,
just with
white
vampires.
passing. It was, and actually some people may still be,
Right.
white passing. So
And people find out, like, now that everybody started doing these DNA, this DNA 23andMe DNA stuff, they're like, wait, I'm what? And it's like, yeah,
I'm
you
quarter
didn't
of this
know.
and 25%. What? Nah, there's no
Right.
way.
Like, there's a reason why your great grandma never went into the sun. Like she always stayed indoors, or she had like a parasol. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, yeah. What's the melanin count? Yeah, let's look this up real quick. Yeah,
Right.
there's there's layers. This is a true onion here, because there's layers to this. So I mean, we can go in all different directions. I'd love to do a spoiler-filled review, maybe in a week or two, when more people have seen it and we don't feel like we're giving them too much away.
And
But
we would definitely suggest go see it. Like
yeah.
it was
yeah,
for me. we're recording this on Easter Sunday, so for me, like, there's a lot of like the spirit, like the church stuff, and even stays to the very end. But even there, like, there's something that it sits, and I guess it's because I'm missing my family, but it sits a little too close to home for me. Like, staying there till the very end and seeing the last thing, I'm like, this is perfect for Easter. Like, this is, again, you guys are both not Christian, but like,
right.
so I'm the
And that's probably why the final post credits, the last not cutscene but credit scene for me, it didn't do anything for me. But like for yourself, it
the
strikes a chord.
It does, because it's a song that you sing in church a lot, especially when you're in, like, if you go to Sunday school as a kid. I've had to sing this song multiple times, and it hits home in a way, and I'm just like, I don't know if I needed all these emotions today. I mean, obviously I did.
I was walking out of this vampire movie crying here. What is
like, you joke, but no, literally, like, there's parts throughout the movie where it's like, especially like when I'm hearing different things, when I'm like, why am I crying? I'm like, oh yeah, because you grew up like this. That's why you're crying. Because a lot of this is hitting you on a much deeper level than it probably should as a movie that you just come to see. Like, but man,
yeah, there definitely was some sad moments in this film.
I want to talk about the end credit scene. Like that one.
We won't talk about either of the end credit scenes. Not for now. Maybe we'll do an Instagram short in a week or two. We can discuss it. We can post it to social media, but we won't do that here.
That first post credit scene though,
it was good. I was surprised people started walking out when I was like, "Oh yeah, we are going." And as soon as the door closed, the scene came. I was like, "Oh, I never got out of my a good scene." But I think part of me expected it the way what transpired just towards the end of the film. I was discussing offline that was something happened. I was like, I could see that. I think I know why this happened, and I was pleasantly surprised that I was correct. Oftentimes I'm wrong. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm right on this one. But no, there was some good scenes. I think when you realize that the vampires are trying to get into the juke joint, it kind of reminded me of the inverse of Dusk Till Dawn, where the vampires are inside the bar or inside the club, and Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney are trying to get the heck out of there. So it's like kind of inverse, but I thought it was still action packed, and I think it was a little slow to start the film to build it up, but I think once you get to that introduction of the vampires, the movie just keeps rolling. It's nonstop as far as action or some suspense, and I think that to me is what makes it even more exciting. There's really no lulls there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to another run through on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to see it in the theaters with these movie ticket prices and whatnot, but maybe I have to wait for like a $5 Tuesdays or something. No.
Oh, but I will say, like I told you before, like I think he needs to really like shave that mustache off.
Oh, we talking about Michael B. Jordan needs to either shave the mustache off or at least connect it into a goatee.
So Kareem, you weren't here when I said it. So like, there's a part there's a part when, but it's not when he's smoke. It's when he's stacked. There's like a few times where he's stacked, and I'm just like, why do you look like a young Steve Harvey?
It's the grin, because when he grins, he shows off the grill that he has.
Yeah,
so he looks like Steve Harvey in Family Feud.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I need you like see, I'm seeing a young Steve Harvey, and it's kind of odd. It's like, it's throwing me, sir. It's throwing me. Just like
Steve Harvey vs. Vampires. That sounds like a movie to me.
That would be hilarious.
Steve Harvey's a vampire. Survey says.
Yeah. Right.
Is there any last comments before we end this podcast without talking about Steve Harvey?
Yeah. I would just say go see it. Go see it. Matinee, weekend, $5 ticket, Tuesdays, just go see it. At least one, I would recommend at least seeing it one time in the theater. so that you can have that full experience. You can feel the music, enjoy the sights, everything.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely treat yourself. See it at least once in the theater, whether it's IMAX or RPX or whatever you can, even if it's got subtitles. Do yourself don't do yourself a disservice and not see it in the theaters. No, you're gonna want to see this in the theaters.
Definitely.
So we are your hosts, Kay, Cream, and Honey from the Three Hokages podcast. Have a good one.